21. It was a regular commission meeting. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from December 22nd,
And a second?
2021.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. Next on the agenda, zoning administrator update.
Well, we have a lot of irons in the fire, but as far as Main Street, as we keep saying, we're just waiting to do the paperwork and transfer the road over. So that project is completed. And Dollar General, and I'm going to stop even saying when they're going to open up, but now they think they're going to open the middle of February. They've received a couple, they're in the final approval process. They've received a couple approvals of the permitting, and so I think they'll be open by the middle of February. And the other projects, the site plans you've approved are moving forward. Florida Rock submitted for their preliminary stormwater plan, so that's with the county. And I think that's about it. A lot of interest in the vacant buildings in Main Street, and I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff coming up.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's exciting to see how the businesses look and how the houses look and people on Main Street. I see them every morning walking the dogs, and it's really very, very nice.
Oh, good,
It's
good.
great. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, moving on. Approval of signage, Hampstead Volunteer Fire Department, 1341 North Main Street.
It doesn't matter. You can come here. If you come here, you can turn the microphone on. The light will
I
turn
know we
green.
don't need a mic turned on with me, but that's fine.
It's so CMC can hear you.
Okay. I'm Jim Dwyer. I'm the president of Hampstead Fire Company. And we are here to request approval for replacement of the current signage that we have at the front of the fire station. That signage that sits out front has been here for about 15 years, maybe more, nothing less than that. As you well know, we are in the process of rebuilding the fire station, and we're also building the building in the back. The sign that we have there will remain exactly where it is, regardless of the construction that's planned. The structure that holds the electronic sign will remain the same. We're not touching that. At this point in time, we really don't plan to have to do anything else with power. We're going to have to do the assessment, but at this point in time, that already has power going to it. One of the major concerns we have is that that sign is so old, it requires us to connect to it, to update it, using Windows 7. Now, for those who are not part of the technology world, Windows 7 is not an approved nor updated nor supported technology anymore, and it actually provides a risk for us from a network perspective. So we're very, very careful how often we go in there. We go in for very short periods of time to make the change.
And to give it perspective, we are in Windows 11.
Well, Windows 11. And I'm not sure they support anything past 9 right this moment, but 7 is definitely is very old technology. It's also not something that responds very quickly to our changes. The sign's intention has always been communication to the public, especially if it goes up and down Main Street. Now, my wife always complains to me because she has to drive past it 3 or 4 times to get the messages. So we're in the process of improving the way we want to move forward with this. Our primary concern will always be communication to the public for public information, whether it's safety, whether it's blood drives, whether it is an update because of weather, whether it's, if you pardon the pun there, it's a play on words, it is for us to communicate to them. Now, the sign we have now limits our ability to do that. It's all text-based and it's very slow. We're going to be looking to, it's going to be more graphic-based. Pictures do tell 1,000 words. And we're also going to be using it for the following things. So we're going to be using it for advertising, for events. We're going to be using it for public education, safety, but we're also going to be using it for recognition of corporate contributions. So our Main Street contributors, we'd like to put the sign up there and recognize those people who have contributed to the fire company. Also to put updates as we're making progress on our construction. So this is an investment for us. We think it's got a decent return on investment for us because we're gonna really cut back on any type of advertising we do other than on social media and that sign. So we're requesting the approval for the change in sign. It would not be effective, it'll probably take us 3 or 4 months by the time we would actually get it put up. Because after we do this, we have to go to the fire company, approve the final amount of money that we would spend, and then we would then go through and, which will happen in February. But then we have to order the equipment. As you all know, with technology right now and the supply chain, there is a slow amount, there's quite a delay. We would like to have it up and running for the April/May timeframe prior to any of our fundraising events and things like what's going on Main Street, both our carnival and as well as for the Hampstead days and our drive-throughs, which are all welcome to come and enjoy the good food. So, what can I do to answer your questions?
I can give a quick code overview
you.
as we look everything. Chapter 135-215, which is signs permitted to use on premises. One of the guidelines is no exterior freestanding sign can be taller than 15 feet. Obviously, this fits within that parameter. And as he said, the sign itself, the outer part of the sign, is not changing in size. The screen would be larger, but the screen that's on there now is just totally,
Closed.
yeah, it's
Bracketed.
bracketed, thank you, or framed, where this one wouldn't be framed on the side. So the total size of the frame's not, or sign itself's not going to change. And we do not allow electronic variable message signs except for school buildings and fire departments. So it is allowed at a fire department. Now, within those parameters, yes, the fire department's allowed to have a message board. However, it's not allowed to flash, rotate, visible moving parts,
Right.
that type of thing. So it can't be animated with dancing people across it. And from my understanding, it would be a static picture, and then you would see the other picture.
It would be.
Now, my one concern was, and I did call, and I told the fire department, I called like the state highway, who, if it wasn't our road, would probably approve something like this. My concern was how much light it would give off from the sign for motorists that are driving through the area. Because our code does say under 135-211, D, part of that says illuminated signs shall be so constructed as to avoid glare or reflection on any portion of an adjacent highway or residential building. What I found out, it doesn't give a glare like white light. White light is our lamppost. So when they put the lamppost on Main Street, that took months of engineering to make sure there was no excess light pollution. It was directed down, not in motorist eyes. I mean, that was many, many months of engineering to do that. These type of signs, they don't project like a white light like that. It doesn't have a glare. And I also learned that from the sign company, actually, not only does it not have a light glare, it's made to where it won't project the sunlight glare, because you couldn't read it if it had a sunlight glare on it. So that eased my fears as far as any kind of glare in motorist eyes. And it is dimmable. If there was a certain brightness that we thought were too bright, I mean, there's controls to where you can have it a certain brightness, and it would be dimmed at certain hours during the evening.
It does automatically dim based on light sensors. So if the sensor, once it determines that the light outside has dropped, it drops appropriately to keep it at a constant brightness.
Oh, I didn't know it
but
was
not to
automatic.
be at night. Ron, am I correct on that?
Yes, it auto dim through the photo cell.
Thank you. Auto dims through the photocell.
Is this sign like the Manchester Fire Department sign? Is
Well,
it like that?
It's not going to, it's going to be like that only in that it's color. It's not going to be like that because they have motion and,
Yeah.
and what we're going to be doing is thinking about if you take a picture, it eit'll either have words on it, or it will have a picture or a picture with words, whatever. But it will come up and it will display one at a time. and then another one will come up. There's no transitions.
Right.
There's no motion. There's nothing to distract an individual as to.
Not
change.
flashing.
It's
not
not rolling
flashing.
like it
Yeah.
was.
Now, it's interesting, the technology allows you to do that, but we can restrict it so it will not do that. And when we were first looking at this, I actually called and asked Tammy and Jim to come up to do the demo truck. And Jim was able to come up and meet with us. And he advised us of all those things, and we made sure that the approach that we're going to take will not do that. It does allow us to update it very quickly. We'll be able to do it. It uses technology that is available through our web services. So we're not going to have to go through and connect through the internet. We'll actually be able to do it through our phone services and connect it directly with it. And we also have graphic services that come with this. This is cloud-based technology, which means that the software as well as the data is hosted by the company. We tell them what we want, and we have complete control of it. So we can control pictures, we can control verbiage, we can control frequency.
Yeah, so while you're talking about controls, that was the one question I had. Because it is a sign that everybody's going to see, you mentioned the control over it. So how do you prevent somebody from putting an inappropriate message up there? Do you have some sort of a quality check that, two people have to approve of it before it goes through?
Well, right now, we're not new people when it comes to this. We actually have our Facebook page. We also have a web service that we have, and that's all run within the fire company. And we do have checks and balances on that. And we'll use something similar to this, primarily for quality control. I'm not too worried about somebody making anything inappropriate. I am worried about people having a misspelling, a wrong date, or things like that. So most of ours are focused on QA. But yes, we do have quality control.
I just have one question. You're talking about static images that'll change? Like, I know you can't say exactly, but how often would you see, are they going to be changing every 5 minutes, every
Oh,
minute,
no.
every
Actually, it's
day?
interesting.
I don't know if they're aware.
Are you aware that if you look out there, you can actually see the sign? We actually brought the
I
sign.
can't see it from here.
Is that the same dimensions as what you're proposing, or is that one
That's
smaller?
pretty close, isn't it, Ron?
That's a 3x7. You're looking
Can't
at
see it.
the,
blind.
Well, you might have to get up, look out the window.
Can we open this door without setting off
About the same size.
No, you can open the door. Just don't close it behind you because you can't get back in.
I'll let him back in.
I will. Leaving my coat. Oh, my God, look at
You got it, Ron, you can answer any questions.
I knew you saw it. Devin, I don't think Devin.
So my only question was, and I know they're looking at it, but was more about like at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, is there going to be set where, I know the lights along Main Street are constant no matter what time of night, but is it, and I think you answered it, where you can set it so it goes, lower at a certain time of night when there's not going to be traffic or really the need to not turn it off completely, but at least not have it look like the Vegas Strip,
The intention here is
Look at it myself.
so it automatically dims to about 10%, but I can't guarantee that because Main Street itself is pretty bright.
It is bright. Yeah, right. And that was where I was like,
So
the lights are bright.
it will dim-
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not saying it's going to be 10%. It's designed to dim to 10%.
As you can see,
10%, 100% of the day, 10% at night.
There's no reflection.
By the way,
Unfortunately, our Main Street's a little bright these days, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to be 10% or 25%, whatever it is.
Look at the ground, there's no reflection.
And I think the other was, and I think this is going to be rectified once the new building's in place and the new landscaping is in place, is down that corner of that street that you can see through it right now, and there's a residential house right there on the corner. I think there's going to be some bushes or shrubs there to break that up. Right now, there's not, obviously, and as they bring in construction on the corner, there's going to eventually be some type of landscape barrier to shield that house that's really kind of looking directly at it.
Yeah,
you know.
it's one of those things, we need to shield the house that distance, but we also need to be able to be viewable coming down the street.
Right.
Recording that.
So, but yes.
Okay.
But while you were out, one of the questions was, how much does it dim at night? It's currently set up to dim from 100% to 10% at night. However, I can't guarantee that's going to happen because Main Street's a little bit brighter than normal nighttime. So it might be 25%, but it should be operating at an appropriate brightness to mimic the brightness of the lights on Main Street. so it should be consistent. And what we don't want it to do is to be so glaring as to be distracting. But we also don't want it to be so dim as to not be effective in terms of the communication.
But I would think it's an automatic dimming, so if it doesn't dim,
It will
as you
dim.
want it to, you could probably adjust what it dims down to.
The sign is adjustable.
Well,
I defer to my technical support.
You would have to get the manufacturer involved, but but it should be, these signs are in all kinds of different situations that we seem to be fine.
Jim had asked me if there are any other cities or towns in Carroll County that has allowed color signs, and the answer is yes. I think the research shows that Tawnytown has them.
Tawnytown has them, and the town of Manchester
Has them.
This is the dumb question of the night. It's on both sides?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, and one of the funny things was, he goes, it's not a mirror image, it's an exact image. He says, so if you have an arrow pointing in this direction on one side, it's going to point the other direction. So we don't use arrows.
that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun for you guys to try to figure that out.
Did I have a question too? So Tammy mentioned about highway administration concerns or anything like with Americans with Disabilities Acts. I know there are some restrictions about how much you can flash.
Yeah, these they don't, that's very good, but
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
flash at all. They're basically generating a single image that is illuminated for the amount of time that we specify. And one of the questions you asked was how long will they be up? It depends on what we're communicating. If it's an emergency and we want to stay up for 30 seconds, we'll do that. If it's a normal one, we'll probably rotate them every 15 to 20 seconds. Mainly because you're going to have people driving by, and because everybody in town does the speed limit, chief, we know how long they'll be able to view that. So we'll be able to time how long it should be up there for every message, but we'll be able to do that as well.
Which is good, because like your wife, I like see half a message, I'm like, what'd that say?
And it's always the same half.
And then I come
Yeah.
back, and I come back and I get the same half. I'm like,
One thing I
It
always,
is
I
frustrating.
don't know what time
isn't
that
it?
is. I don't know what date that is.
Like, I do know you're supposed to keep ashes in a metal box, This is 3 feet from the.
Yes, exactly.
And there's a good reason for that. trust me.
so an emergency message such as tornado warning or
Yes.
something, or take cover now, or fire or something.
We can change that very quickly.
So, and that would be a message that would stay up longer
Yeah, absolutely.
than
If
a
that's
fun
something-
message.
Right, for example, if the fire department is a designated shelter in an emergency, and if we're in a situation whether, for whatever reason, that we have activated that, we would basically put a sign up that says, this is an emergency shelter, you may seek shelter here, proceed back here, whatever.
Right. Now I have one more question. Right now, the top part does not light,
Well,
correct?
it's supposed to.
It's supposed to, but it doesn't now, but this will light.
It
The
will.
interior.
Yeah, originally it did light. And originally it had wording on the sign facing south. And if you look north, you'll still see the wording up there, and that's because of the sun bleaching out the words that were there before. The wording that we're putting in there is much more resistant to the sun. And it will have lights. If you look on the lower right side, that is illuminated at night, so it's a soft light that sits there and
So within the Main Street revitalization, typically, it's an additional approval to allow an interior light lit, but it's really kind for kind, even though it's been broken. I don't ever remember it being lit. How long has it been not functioning?
Don't ask me questions like that.
Technically,
I don't
they've always
remember.
had an interior lit sign,
It
but I
is-
would include
It
that.
was originally equipped with interior lights, and they were originally lit. But honestly, we didn't maintain that once it broke, so. But fortunately, it already has power going to it. And fortunately, we're not gonna have to run wiring to it. We don't plan on it, we shouldn't have to. We will repaint the stand itself to make sure it's up, just to make sure it's
As the colors.
the same colors, yeah. It's interesting, one of the things, if you look at our sign now, it has Hampstead VFD or HTTPS,
Mhm.
We're gonna take that off completely because, first of all, nobody reads that. Second of all, most people just go out and they Google the Hampstead Fire Company, or they go out and look at Facebook or something like that. So we're just gonna take that off so people don't try and read something they don't need to read. So that's what we're gonna do here, and I can see us using this during Hampstead Day as well, for messages. We'll work with the town like we always do on things like that. We work in great partnership Tammy, and we spend more time going back on phone calls than ever.
Well, I could see. What community events would be on that, such as farmer's market?
We can do that. We could. Now, the one thing we have to be careful about, and
Yeah.
people have to be clear about this, is that we cannot advertise. We can announce, but we can't advertise.
So, but when you have a fundraiser, what's that?
We're announcing.
Oh, excuse me.
It's our, well, the thing is, we're
Oh, for-
announcing our event.
Oh, I got you, okay, right,
For example, one of the questions I had for Jim,
it's different.
I'm putting you on the spot, is that if I have one of our big donors, if I want to say thank you to the following donor, da, he says you can thank the donor, but that's it. You can't advertise for the donor. So we can't sell advertising space there, which is fine with me. That's one less headache I'd have to worry about. You know, one of the things, this is part of the evolution that we're going through. One of our problems that we have is that we have every person who lives in Hampstead, drives through Hampstead, hits every spectrum in terms of the communication. We have people who never look at any of the social media at all. They never look at web services. They don't never look at Facebook pages. We have others that only read newspapers. We have others that only communicate when you send them. And a lot of them actually still look at our signs. So what we're trying to do is cut back on advertising expenses, which we found to be very expensive, going to newspaper.
Print media, yes.
Print media, it's very expensive, and it's limited. It's not always timely. And going to continue with our social media through our website and through our Facebook page, and then use this as a primary communication for those people who go back up and down, which is both in town and out in Manchester and other areas that people driving through. So it's an investment on our part, just like everything else we're doing up there right now. But we believe it's appropriate, and we think it's going to be beneficial to us. Now, the last thing we want to do is, we're so happy with what has happened with Main Street in terms of the revitalization. We don't want to diminish the effectiveness and the beauty of Main Street, because we agree it's a major step forward. We're making our contributions by putting a new station in, which looks going to look a lot better. But we want the sign to be consistent with that as well.
And it could be quite helpful too with, you have the Spanish-speaking church across the street.
We do.
And there could possibly be many people that English is their second language. So graphics would be quite helpful to get certain.
Graphics are very helpful, except arrows, when I was doing arrows. Any other questions? Did the sign did that help having the demo here? for the
Yeah,
sign?
it did. It was very helpful.
Yeah, and so my last question, maybe it's for Tammy and Jim, is, so you say there's no dancing bears or whatever, right? But the sign has the capability, so if something like that were to happen, is that a town?
It would be against code.
I'd get a phone call in about 30 seconds.
You would,
Yep.
okay. No, and the reason I ask that is because I know there's a sign.
And he would ignore us, and then we'd go knock on the door.
Oh, but there's a
I never
sign
ignore you.
out there by the bowling alley, and I seem to remember it does the
It does,
flashing.
But they're not in town.
They're not in town.
They're not, let me
So they
put,
annexed a little piece of the,
yes. Green Mountain Station Restaurant's in town, but the bowling alley is not
right.
within
Isn't
town
that
limits, so
amazing
we
that
have
they're
no
not?
code authority or
Got it,
governing
got it,
authority
got it.
over them.
And that was interesting, because I had the same question when I was looking at the one in
Yeah.
Manchester. I said, it's got a lot of that motion on theirs, and I don't begrudge Elwyn and Manchester or anything that they're doing up there, but that's not what we're putting it down.
I think it's probably more effective without a lot going on, too. That's,
These are all style issues. I think good, clean images, good, clean text are much more effective, because you're not distracted by that. You're going to have a shot of people driving up the road. You want them to communicate either the image or the words that go along with that. I really don't want them to worry about anything else.
and the subliminal food messages, the chicken and the fries
I was
and the
gonna
roast
say, I don't
beef.
want fried chicken at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Is that a requirement, Tammy?
No food
chicken
pictures.
and waffles
It's
for you on the
January,
wall?
everybody's on a diet.
Bacon and eggs at 8, how's that?
That's right.
Plus it's breakfast with Santa or the Easter Bunny.
Oh, it's so much. You can have Santa, Easter Bunny, everything, yes.
I think it's gonna look great.
And I do appreciate, it helped me to understand how
Yeah.
bright it would be. Or how
That's
bright
what,
it's really
frankly,
not.
I was worried about the brightness, but
Mhm.
that's a soft light, that's not
Yeah,
what I
that's-
was
that
imagining.
is
And it's really
adjustment
dark
free.
out there, too, so
Yeah.
you would see if it was,
That's what it
Yeah.
would look like. That's pretty reflective of what it'd be like at night.
That's
wouldn't
all
it?
we've been, down to the middle.
That's what we would do at night. Unless the town lights are too bright, then we'd have to turn it up a little bit.
I don't know, this barbecue fundraiser picture right here really has made me hungry. I have not had dinner tonight.
Well, thank you, I appreciate
You were,
it.
Ron, we haven't said anything, but can you come up and just announce yourself? Because you have been speaking, but we didn't have you announce who you are.
I'm Ron Thomas with Strickler Sign Company. We're a local sign company based out of New Oxford. I live in Westminster, but we've done a lot of signs through here, and glad to be partnering with Jim.
Thank you for bringing the demonstration
That's
so
a
we
great
could.
tool.
yeah.
I love
Very
that. You know,
helpful.
we use that for because it's a big investment. We want people to see what they're getting. So,
I can see that you're proud of what you do.
mhm.
That shows it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else from me?
Any questions? Are you ready for a motion? Okay. We need to have a motion, please, for the approval of the, how do we call this, Tammy? Because it's not, it's still the same sign. It's the replacement or restoration. Which would it be?
Either, but just mention the interior lit portion of it.
All right, let's have, please, an approval, a motion, please, for the approval of the new sign for the Hampstead Volunteer Fire Department. Should we say Hampstead Volunteer Fire and Hose Company Number 1, 1341 North Main Street, Hampstead. This would be a replacement and improvement of the current sign, interior lit. And may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? Then, without further discussion, that sign is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I still want that chicken. Okay, next on the agenda, introduction of draft for Chapter 10 of the 2021 Handset Comprehensive Plan Update, Environmental Protection, and Resource Conservation.
Did you want to say anything, Jim?
Basically, you guys know how this goes now. Yeah, I'll have a month to review this. There are a lot of updates to it. Some of the definitions have been updated since 10 years ago. Some of the town zoning districts have been updated. One thing I will make you aware of, and me and Tammy talked about today, and Tammy suggested this. When you get to the area about water resources elements, and the WRCC, that is going to all be reviewed by Tom Devil's, who is a new employee of the town on a part-time basis. He is an expert in this. He actually was very instrumental in beginning the WRCC.
It was unbelievable, an opportunity for the town. He retired from the county after 33 years, and like Jim said, he was instrumental in putting the Water Resource Coordination Council together. And what that is the Maryland Department of Environment requires the counties and the municipalities to capture a certain percentage more of rainwater every year. So they were requiring 20% more, and in this 5-year permit, and the county decided, hey, how about if we all get together, that the towns contribute a certain amount per their population, and then the county, because they have a larger staff, was able to look at grants. They have expertise, and they've already done a couple stormwater facility retrofits in Hampstead. So together, the county and the municipalities, we were able to achieve that 20%. So now we have a new permit, but I don't think there's another county in the entire state of Maryland that has this type of council. So it's very beneficial for us. And Tom was quite a blessing with all his expertise. He retired, and I think that lasted all of 3 months, and then he won a part-time job. So we're very happy to have him.
So we just thought today, let him review that. Hopefully we can get him to do that possibly tomorrow or early next week. And as soon as he has, he reviewed it and gives us changes or recommendations, we'll shoot that right out to you, that section of it.
Okay. Okay, any comments or questions? Okay,
not
we'll
for me.
review this and, okay, let's move on then. Carroll County Department of Planning, is there an update?
Yes, ma'am. Carroll County, because of the increase in COVID positive cases, are now not having any in-person meetings. They're not attending in-person meetings, so Price was unable to attend tonight. But the county planning commission voted to transmit the changes to the zoning and subdivision code text for the residential zoning districts with a favorable recommendation on September 21st. Well, am I going that far back? And the Board of County Commissioners held work sessions on the recommended package in October and November, with a public hearing held on November 18th. Several more work sessions were held on December 16th. The new sections of the code were adopted. They became effective on January 10th. Staff is beginning to work on changes to the agricultural and conservation districts with the assistance of a work group. The primary source for information is the website www.carrollrezoning.org. So if anybody's interested in finding more details, it's www.carroll, CARROLL, rezoning, REZONING.org. And the full Maryland Department of Environment, so MDE, approved the 2021 spring amendment to the Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan, and that's on the department's website. Hempstead didn't have any changes in that plan. So they approved the spring plan, and now they have,
Now they're reviewing the fall. And that,
for 2021, because it said the fall amendment to 2019. 2022. So the fall amendment to 2022 county,
2021. Fall amendment 2021 is now being reviewed.
oh, okay, we're in 2022. Never mind. So the fall amendment to the 2021 Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners on December 16th and forwarded to MD on December 23rd for final approval. Now they're taking applications for the spring amendment to the 2022 Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan. And then planning's beginning the process for the triennial update. So I guess when you have the water and sewer master plan, you have set times of fall and spring. You can ask for amendment in between if you'd like, but then every so often they have the triennial. That's 3.
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years they have an update. I don't know why all this, but anyway, so that they're working on the triennial Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan, and that went out to town staff. We may actually have an adjustment on that plan, a request anyway. And the planning department launched a second survey for the transportation master plan late in October to solicit input regarding transportation issues and priorities. The survey closed on December 1st, and results will be analyzed. Staff has met with town staffs over the past several months to provide a status update. And I think ours was the usual ones that were in our master plan. It was nothing.
No.
No.
There's nothing.
Planning's compiling information for the 2021 annual report, which is due to the Maryland Department of Planning by July 1st. So they're requesting towns submit planning commission approved worksheets and supporting data with certification letters by March 11th. So I assume that Price is going to bring something to the meeting eventually.
No, we have it.
Oh, we already have it?
We need-
Okay.
There's 2 different options on the way that we can do it. Number one is that way, is we bring all the information to you, tell you the changes that have been made in the last year that need to go into the annual report concerning Hampstead. You guys approve it. It's all there. And Sharon, as chair, would sign off on it, and it would go over to the county. We wouldn't see it again until it was in print. The other option is staff, myself and Tammy, can go over it, send it to the county, have them put it into the draft of the annual report. Then they bring it back to us, and at which point, then you guys see it in the draft, check all the information over, and sign off on it then. So we can do it either way.
I'd prefer to see it final as part of the larger before it goes to print.
I agree. I think that would make more sense.
Yes.
So that is, that's it for the county update.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. Is there any other business? There is not. Okay, then if there's no public comment, then may we have a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. Thank you.
Thank you.